Bigger is always better, right? Well, the answer to that is a little bit complicated. In today's video, we're going to look at number one. What makes this flash stand out from the rest of the competition? We're going to do a hands-on and look at the device and its functions, and we're going to look at it in depth. So stay with me to the end of the video, and we're going to look at this device in detail. So you can look at this product, and it is a TT350S, where S denotes Sony. So this is for Sony cameras, but at the same time, if you want it for Nikon or if you want it for a Canon camera, you can find compatible models online. A good way to start is, before you even order any kind of flash, is to look up the manual and see what compatible models it's been tested out with. Sometimes you can pick up a manual and you'll see that it's been tested out for certain series. So for example, this TT350S has been tested with A7 series, but the camera that I have is the A7 IV. It has not been tested out with yet. So in the past, I've used other flashes before, and what they tend to do is they can either overexpose faces and can take away the facial features, or on the other hand, they can create really bad shadows. Now, this flash is great for starters and beginners, but at the same time, I've seen it's also great for professionals. And I say that because I look at the specifications and the functions that it contains, and it gives you a wide range of options that you can choose from. And I'll go over that in the next segment when I go over the hands-on stuff. I have the Sony A7 IV camera. This was released last year in December of 2021. I'm going to go ahead and unbox the TT350S and see how it mounts to this camera. Now, this TT350S has been around for a long time. Some additional material in the package. Let's go ahead and open the TT350S flash. So this is a small form factor flash, and it's very basic. It has 4 buttons on the front, it has a little display, and there's not a lot to it. The instructions are fairly simple if you go into the manual and read that. Now, as I've said before, that this hot shoe flash mounts onto A7 cameras, but this flash hasn't been tested with this particular camera yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and go ahead and mount it on. I'm pretty sure it will go on. You want to make sure that you keep the plastic on top of the pins and stuff so it doesn't mess up the pins on the bottom. I've seen that happen in many instances. So what you're going to do is you're just going to go ahead and push it on. For me, this took a little bit more effort than I anticipated, but it went on without a hitch and it was good to go. So whether you have an overexposed photo or an underexposed photo, it makes your photos look terrible. Sometimes you can be at an event with family and friends, and other times you can be at weddings, and that's where you need flash. So this product comes in 2 models. There's the TT350, and then there's also the V350, which has a lithium-ion battery. But we're going to look at this product. It takes 2 AA batteries. Okay, in the previous segment, we unboxed the TT350S. Now we're going to look at this in detail. Looking at it, it's very sturdy, and you can look on the front and the back. There's a little dial in the front that you can rotate whenever you're adjusting the exposure and stuff. And then on the bottom, I showed you the pins and stuff. It feels very solid in your hand. There's a battery compartment. You open that, 2 AA batteries. I like that because on the fly you can change the 2 AA batteries whenever needed. The other thing is that this swivels. It's a 270 degree swivel, and it'll go all the way around, or you can have it to the side. So that's really helpful when you're trying to angle the flash to take certain portrait photos and stuff like that. Now on the top, you take that off and you can see the flash body inside. Now, when we're going to pull this little thing out, the white card, you know, when you're wanting to do certain kind of portraits and stuff, that's really helpful. You can pull that out. But when I push it back in, let me just show you one thing. I'm not going to push it all the way back in. I'm going to leave a little bit out, and I'll show you why when I go in the video, because that's going to mess with the software. You have to push that all the way in order to change the zoom and stuff on the flash. So we turn it on, and we can see it has an orange screen. It says 14mm zoom, but you press the mode button, and there's basically 3 modes on it: TTL, manual, and then multi. So you can change those, but 90% of the time I use TTL. Now you can change this exposure level all the way from +3 to -3 in 0.3 increments. So that's really easy to change. You can just use the rotating dial on the front of the flash to go back and forth. So that's pretty simple to do. Now the 14mm, remember I told you in the beginning, if you don't have that card or deflector pushed all the way in, it'll do that. But as soon as you push it in, it'll say auto millimeter zoom AU, and then you can go ahead and change the zoom settings on it. So you'll just press the zoom button, and now you can go all the way from 24 to 105mm zoom, and that helps you change it. So yeah, whenever you're using it, keep in mind that the deflector on top, you have to push it all the way in to get that function. Then the other two buttons are sync and slave, which are basically used for the wireless function. I just press the red test button on it, and that just shows you how it flashes. And on the back, it seems like that's something to do with the wireless feature. So it's pretty simple and basic. One bonus tip that I really want to give is, even though this is small form factor, and whenever you're looking at a product like this, you're tempted to point the flash directly at the subject. I wouldn't recommend doing so unless you don't have any other option. Usually the best thing that I've seen is, if you can bounce the flash off of the wall, that is the best way to go. That way you get the most natural look. So yeah, once again, don't be tempted to point the flash at your subjects. The flash has the option where you can tilt it, like I was talking about, 45, 60, 75 degrees, 30 degrees. You can tilt it back and forth. Most of the time I point it upwards, or I rotate it and point it towards the sides. So you can do that with one hand, but be sure to support the base while you're doing that so it doesn't put pressure on the hot shoe. On the camera, when it's in automatic mode, it doesn't let you change the mode. I wanted to show that to you guys. So when you rotate it and put it in manual mode, then when you go ahead and press the mode button, it'll let you change it to manual. So don't be alarmed if it does not change it to manual mode. And then you can go ahead and change the settings, and you can cycle through the different settings. But that's with the flash on. And just to give you an example of how that goes through, I'm going to take another one with it rotated towards the side, and I'm just going to press that so you can see how it works, just for demonstration purposes. The camera is in burst mode to give you an idea of the refresh time, see how many times the flash goes off and how many times the photos are taken. So at the end of this video, I think I'm going to give this flash a thumbs up because I've really enjoyed using it and figuring the functions out. So it's good for beginners and starters, but at the same time, I think it's good for professionals too. It just depends on how you use it. So if you like this video, please go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe for more. Thanks.